holidays tradition video last year, and in that video I did mention we were in a huge life transition due to multiple matriarch deaths in our family, and I was not so sure how Christmas was going to look going forward, and I am still figuring it out. However, today I figured I'd share with you my thought process on where our traditions are going and how we are still navigating our new Christmas traditions and how it may look. So this is a collaboration hosted by Christy from These Little Sprouts. Several of us ladies will be sharing with you our own Christmas traditions and their differences, so be sure to check out the playlist linked below this video after watching mine. Regarding Christmas traditions, if you would like to know our old traditions and how they looked, feel free to watch my video from last year. I'll be sure to link that at the end of this video. But since the passing of both my mother and my grandmother, I have had very little desire to continue our old traditions because it feels a bit void without them. So I have been thinking about how Christmas could look different for us and possibly bring joy again and a fresh start. And I have came up with the idea of trying to tie in traditions from our ethnical ancestry. It could be a great start. There's something about growing familiar with your ancestral history that is very fulfilling and brings joy. And that is why I am looking to do this. I want to connect with my ancestry and connect it to our modern living to see how the two can merge. Now, my husband's main ethnicity, according to genetic testing, is Togolese. And Togo is a country in West Africa, close to Ghana. Unfortunately, I am having trouble finding great information on Christmas traditions unique to them, as it seems Togolese Christians have adapted Western traditions. And also, only about 40% of Togo is Christian, which is a lot, but obviously it isn't their ancestral religion. And it would take more time than this Christmas to gather some information on adopting Togolese traditions. However, the food eaten seems to be the most rooted thing about Christmas in Togo. And with that being said, I am looking into some of the traditional foods of this region, and we will see if we can make any of them. So some of the recipes I'm considering are for groundnut soup, fufu, briquettes, and jollof rice. If I decide on any recipes by the time this video goes live, I will link them below, but I don't know if I'll have it together all like that by then. Now, on my end of ancestry, I am predominantly Scandinavian, so I'm very Northern European. I most likely came from Viking descent, and my ancestors likely later migrated to places like Ireland and Germany, which is where we have documentation of where family was, and that's where they were to settle before coming to North America eventually. Now, at some point I will investigate traditions from the areas my ancestors settled, but this year I wanted to get to know more about my Nordic and Scandinavian roots. And if you're not aware, this group of people, they were not originally Christian, but had heavy belief in Norse mythology. The things that I'm sharing today have roots from both before and after conversion to Christianity, but it will not go too in depth on these details as this video would be way too long. And you can feel free to research more on Scandinavian history to get a better look at all of the stuff that I would be sharing and where it comes from. There is some deep cultural belief here built on a lot of folklore. Some of this folklore is enough to keep your children awake, afraid of the creatures at night, and some of it is great for like fun stories and pranks. I have decided to hold off on a lot of those stories as I'm not sure how I feel about them at this point. I need more research, but we may add some of the fun folklore in the future. But there are still traditions that I plan to use outside of those folklore stories. So first, let's talk about Advent. So dating around like the 1600s or so, the converted Christian Lutherans of Scandinavia participated in Advent. Traditionally, Advent for them meant having 25 candles and lighting one every day leading up to Christmas. And I did not personally want to buy 25 candles, as I do have small children who do very risky things. So there was too many candles. So instead, I chose to do how the churches would observe Advent around that same time, which was that they would do a 5-candle Advent. So we light one candle every week leading up to Christmas, and then the final one on Christmas Eve. And each candle has significance. And the candle meanings can change depending on where you are looking at, what regions, but we chose to honor the candles with the following order of candles, which is candle 1, the prophets in the Bible who told of the coming Christ, candle 2, representing Mary, the mother of Jesus. She deserves her own candle, okay? At first, I thought it sounded very Catholic, and we're not Catholic, but no. She birthed that child. She deserves the candle. Candle 3 represents the Bible. Candle 4, honoring John the Baptist, who prepared people for Christ's teachings. And the final candle being to honor Christ, the Messiah, his birth, his works, death, and resurrection. Now, we are a few weeks into this tradition, and it has been a very intimate and wonderful experience so far. So I think the Advent thing will stick around. Now, in Iceland, a common practice is to exchange books on Christmas Eve and to cozy up and read together, possibly eat chocolates too. Sounds good to me. Another Scandinavian practice is to do 12 days of Christmas, starting with the celebration of a saint that had died specifically 12 days before Christmas. And each day leading up to Christmas, within those 12 days, they leave a gift inside of children's shoes. And then I have taken those two practices plus the 25-day Advent idea and created a book Advent. So each day we unwrap a randomly chosen book that has been stored under the Christmas tree like a gift, and we read it together snuggled up on the couch. And the books are all themed around winter, Christmas stories of Santa, and stories of baby Jesus, things like that. So my kids are really loving this tradition. Next is the very important cultural practice of hygge. And now hygge is, it looks like hygge, but it's hygge, I believe, is all about creating a cozy and warm environment. And it's important to Scandinavians all year, but especially at Christmas, or more traditionally around the winter solstice and the darkest, coldest season of the year. And it is common to see things like lots of candles lit and warmer lighting. Knit sweaters is actually a large part of hygge Scandinavian Christmases. And by next year, I may do away with bulbs on the tree completely and practice the use of straw ornaments and poinsettias, as this was more common to use on Christmas trees and around the house at that time. Tinsel and foil is also common, but I have a dog and she will for sure eat the tinsel, and I don't need that bill, okay? I don't need a sick dog. We will be skipping that tradition. So traditionally, Christmas Eve is also a commonly it's like a livelier day than Christmas Day. On Christmas Day, family tends to just lay low and rest at home. So Christmas Eve is when you would tend to see people attending church services, gathering with family, opening gifts, eating, throwing parties. And I have preferred this for years, actually. I love my Christmas Day being very low-key and uneventful with lots of rest. And when my grandmother was alive at Christmas, on Christmas Eve, it was always one giant party. And though I don't have her now to continue that tradition, I still want to keep the Christmas Eve more eventful than Christmas Day. So for food, we will be looking into some traditional items like rice porridge, or, excuse me if I say these wrong, risalamande, glögg, I think that's how I say it. It's like a mulled wine drink, and appelskiver. Clearly my first language is English, so forgive me for anything I pronounce wrong, but 3 out of 4 of us are vegetarians, so a lot of the traditional dishes for Scandinavians are out, as with it being such a cold environment for Scandinavians, they relied heavily on meat, and since my husband is the only one that eats meat in this house, we'll probably just stick to Togolese dishes that are connected to his heritage, because I don't feel a need to connect with my ancestors' meat recipes on my site. So I'm going to be very picky about the foods we choose. And I'm hoping that by next year, we will have a more in-depth understanding of both of our heritage and their traditions. But this is a great starting place for our family to navigate what Christmas will look like going forward. And it's just going to be nice to really connect on a deeper level with our backgrounds. All right, don't forget that this video is a collaboration. So if you're looking for more Christmas tradition ideas, check out this video on the top. It's actually a playlist of all the ladies. And if you would like to see some of our old holiday traditions, our family traditions, click the video on the bottom from last year, and I'll see you over there. Have fun homeschooling.